Hey legends, welcome to the Connect podcast,
A no BS approach to connecting people,
connecting businesses,
connecting communities.
and connecting successes. Connection is why we're here.
And what's been your best success story?
Disney was coming to Australia for their 100th year anniversary, and I shot the photos. They like the content so much. Can you call the guy who created this to ask him if we can actually use it in New Zealand to also advertise that Disney's coming to New Zealand as well? First office was a 9 square meter shoebox. Yeah, do you remember that one? Do you know
It was literally a corridor. It was a corridor.
How big is the risk for you?
I had my name down for 2 properties and I sacrificed both those properties to start the cave. Business opportunities don't come around often, but houses and apartments will always be there. Yeah, it might go up in price, but yeah, you got to take advantage of the business opportunities when they come.
Like we've all been in situations, every business owner has been in a situation where their cash was absolute shit house.
And you thought next week wouldn't
He's
happen.
in the middle of the fit out. He's probably there now, bro. I reckon.
I've gone silent. Let's connect.
All right, guys, we're here for the 13th episode of the Connect podcast, and you're joined by myself, Ron from RP Wealth. We've got Pat from Oztech Spark. We've got Benny from Shadowbox HQ, and we've got Paulie Nguyen from Creative Culture HQ, also The Cave, and also Subculture. Nice. So we're leading into the end of the year, and we're going to be finishing up shortly, which we'll tell you about later. But we wanted to get some big guests on, and we wanted to talk about the marketing aspect of a business, which we probably haven't focused on too much. So Paulie's worked with some big brands like Disney, Westfields, JD Sport, Creative Culture,
Culture Kings.
Culture Kings. Sorry, that's it. Yeah,
He's creative.
We'll get
Anyone else?
there. Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, we worked with Mervac, YD, Oz Hair and Beauty. We worked with BMW as well.
Yeah, that's it.
So, yeah, but the thing is, as well, we work with big businesses, but we also work with like startups and small to mediums as well. So yeah, it's good. We like to cover everyone, and to be honest, it's a lot more rewarding working with smaller businesses because they appreciate them all. We play more of an impact.
There you go. Paulie, let's get started. Let's start from the beginning. Where did it all start, man?
It all started, man. So, it's funny enough. So, Creative Culture HQ started 3.5 years ago. I worked at a supplement store beforehand, and I was in a marketing position. And the environment started getting really, really toxic. So, what I did was I took a jump, and I had 2 directions I was going to go. I was either going to go into the fitness industry and be a personal trainer, or I was going to do photography. So, I left. I handed in my resignation with no plan. And what I did was, after that, I bought a camera. I spent the first 4 weeks building the foundation of my business with the network and the connections that I had. And within 6 weeks, then I replaced my full-time income. So, that was 3.5 years ago.
In how long, sorry?
6 weeks.
6 weeks you're replacing your income.
Yeah.
No excuses, everybody.
And you, I think you mentioned before to me that you started 3.5 years ago.
Yes.
So this was during COVID.
Yeah, second lockdown. So it was April, and then the second lockdown happened in June.
And you were able to replace your income within that.
Yeah. So in every tough situation, I guess there's always an opportunity to grow. And my opportunity was figuring out another way to make money. So what I did was I expanded the company into graphic design as well. So something that you could do from home. I taught myself graphic design and got so busy I had to hire 2 other graphic designers as well. Because man, you guys would know, everyone's always like, I want to start a business, but I don't have time, I don't have money. During lockdown, you're getting paid to stay at home and you got all the time in the world. So business logos were coming through, marketing collaterals were coming through, business cards, and we're getting so busy where I gave the graphic design work to the 2 designers, and I was like, okay, now how can I still make money? So a lot of the clients I had were product photography clients. So I would get them to ship their products to my house. I'd set up a home studio and just start shooting their stuff there and still get out the content. So yeah,
That's pretty sick, man.
And given that you were in the fitness industry and then going to get new clients, how did you go about getting? Was that just your circle, your network of people that you knew? Or?
It was. You know what? My first round of clients, my first set of clients were from the supplement industry. So when I worked at the previous job, I had built quite a solid reputation for the work that I was doing. So when other companies found out that I had left there, I was getting approached and like, hey, can you create our content? Can you do this? And that's how I was onboarding at the start.
Was it a full spec of creation? Like were you handling their Facebook page or all their socials, or just creating the content and
it was just photography, purely just photography only.
Yeah.
The reason why I moved away from marketing at the start was because I came from a toxic environment before. I had attached the toxic environment to marketing, whereas later on down the track I realized no, I wasn't a fan of the environment, but I love marketing. So that's when I introduced it back in roughly about a year later.
And when you say toxic, like
I was going to say
into
toxic
that?
is a bit of
Yeah.
a buzzword for a lot of companies, but what do you mean by toxic?
like, hey, can you get into that? Because like,
Undervalued,
Undervalued.
underappreciated, and I guess things get really, really draining when you put in more effort than you receive. However, I do believe that if you ever want to start running your business and you want to be successful in a business, you need to know how to work hard for someone else. So
100%.
Let's dive into that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting.
that was the kind of turning point for me because I would run social media. Social media doesn't stop at all whatsoever. So I remember I'd set an alarm at 6:30 a.m., wake up, post a story, go back to sleep for another hour, get ready for work at 9, work the 9 to 5. And then after I'd get home, then I'd work all the way to like 11 o'clock, right? And this is unpaid because I loved what I did. And I realized, you know what, if I put this amount of effort into myself, like it doesn't matter really what I do, I backed myself to make it. So yeah, that's what I believe because nothing really prepares you to be a business owner, but there are a lot of things that you learn when you are working hard for someone else, and there's a lot of processes that you can pick up as well. And to be honest, you have to in a business there are a lot of the times where, and you go through a lot of shit, right? But I guess when you're working really, really hard for someone, and let's say it is a bad environment as well, you kind of come immune to a level of that. Yeah.
And then, obviously scaled very quickly, if we're talking 3 years ago to where you guys sit today, it's pretty impressive. Like, what do you think accounts to that? Why such fast growth?
To be honest, at first it was, it's crazy because everything was referral and word of mouth, even up until this year. Right. And so for the first, let's say 8 months or so, everything was referral and we were just working hard and I was building a brand for myself as well. And then after that, we landed our first big client, which was Westfields. Once we landed a client that everyone knew, that's when it became brand leverage. People were kind of like, oh, okay, if these guys are doing content for Westfields and, Westfields are happy with the standard of work, I think they're going to be good enough for us. And that's after the back of that, after Westfields was Mervac, JD Sports, Culture Kings. And then we started getting interstate clients as well. So I fly down to Melbourne, I fly up to Brizzy or Gold Coast. And then we did our first international shoot last year in Bali.
That's sick.
So,
Who was that for?
That was for Cure. So that was a fashion shoot. So they launched their summer line and they shot that in Bali.
Yeah, that's
so
sick.
yeah, it was good. It was the first time we ever flew to Bali to shoot. But we do have clients all over the world. So we've got 2 in Dubai. We have one in the States, one in Hawaii, and another in Scotland as well.
That's really
How does it feel when you're getting that first international client or going on your first overseas? Like, do you kind of take a step back and kind of look at yourself and go,
100%, because you know what? I never imagined that it was possible. Even when I started this, I didn't really think it could be a full-time thing. I didn't even know people did it full-time because I guess it was something that was really, really fun. And it's not really the normal type of job that people would do. So as I was expanding, my vision expanded as well. And I guess when I started, landing international clients, flying overseas to shoot, I was kind of like, oh, wow, my vision grew. And then, the expectations and standards for the business grew with it as well.
Yeah, wow. So Westfields is a bit of a big core, and like these are big brands and that sort of a thing. How would you pull something like that off in terms of the team you have, the ability to deliver? How would you sort of convert them at the start? Where did that process start? Even if it's not Westfields, like a bigger client like that, how would you sort of approach trying to bring them on?
Okay, so the way that I would approach it, I will tell you how I landed Westfield. And funnily enough, what's paid off for us the most is the energy and how we've actually treated people in the past. Westfields, all they did was they put a referral out on social media, and then someone had just referred us. Once we got into that and we got talking, it was all about being relatable and it's all about understanding. I feel like in the industry as well, like when you go to look for a marketing agency or when you go to look for anyone to work with, no matter what it is, right? It's all about how well you can actually work with them. And I feel like because we are relatable, we're not as corporate as well. We're very professional, but we're not as corporate. I feel like that was, that was a massive selling point for us too. So
nice.
Because there is that, and we talked about this before, I've got a number of clients that when we look at their marketing budget, we see the different, or I see the difference in their costs from 1 year compared to the next. And it's because they've chopped and changed agencies over that time.
Yep.
So, what they thought they were going to be spending on marketing has all of a sudden changed due to who they're working with.
Yep.
How, for someone like, and not just saying our own businesses, but people out there, what should they be looking for when they're working with a marketing agency?
Well, the first step, you take a step back before that. I guess you kind of got to look at your business and you kind of got to gauge if you're ready to work with an agency as well, because sometimes, especially, I've seen a lot of new businesses want to get straight into marketing when realistically, and I'll be upfront with clients if this ever happens, I'll be like, hey, look, I feel like your investment or your budget that you've set aside for marketing would be more beneficial if you invested it into another part of the business, whether it's into more stock, into more product, into building your actual brand itself.
Your processes.
So yeah, the process is 100%. That's the first thing you got to look at, right? And so once after that as well, when you are ready to look for an agency, the things you got to look for, I think the biggest thing is making sure that people understand your brand, because a lot of people, when it comes to photographers, videographers, or even marketers, they have a style of how they do it, right? But when it comes to working with the brand or when looking for an agency, you have to work with someone that can adapt to what you want. Because let's say there was one agency that ran all of your brands, but they shot the same way. They wrote the same captions the same way as well. All your pages look the same. And it'll be very, very hard if you handled, hypothetically, let's say you had a marketing agency look after your gym and they're also doing a gym down the road and your stuff both looks the same. The content's the same as well. So you have to find an agency that's able to adapt to your brand, understand your vision, and then want to work alongside you to make sure you get there as well. So, yeah.
Do you have like a core client that you guys like to work with, or very diverse?
We're very diverse. We're very diverse. And I get asked this a lot, like, do you have an ideal client or ideal company to work with? And no, we have more of an ideal client. It's we've become very, very selective with our clients to the point now where we really enjoy working with clients that are really passionate about their brands, because there have been a lot of times before where we've invested so much of our time, we've done OT for brands, and it feels like we care more about their brand than they do as well. So it's more for us now about the type of client. Yeah.
And then, obviously creative culture, was that the name of the business before? Is that something that you've chosen? Was that always?
Stuck. Yeah, I chose it and it stuck. I was, the logo was different. It was cursive, but I did change that. But yeah, it's always been creative culture HQ from the start.
And then the word culture, right? What does that mean to you?
So you saw that I touched before on the toxic environment that I had before, and this is the reason why I put culture in there. 50% of my effort in the business goes on the growth of the business. The other 50% is the actual culture itself. Like how do I explain or define business culture? I guess it's how do you feel on a Sunday before you have to go to work on a Monday morning, right? Are you kind of like, I don't really want to go to work? Or are you like, okay, Matt, I can't wait. I want to get a good night's sleep, pump tomorrow, get in early and get the job done. And I think that's a very, very good gauge on whether or not you're in a business culture, or whether you have a really good business culture for your staff as well. And it's kind of like a relationship. It is give and take too. So I think a lot of business owners, where they get it wrong from my perspective, is that they have staff and they think that their staff owe them everything. But from my perspective, it's kind of like, because I've been on the other end, it's like, if you're taking time out of your day to come and work at creative culture, to come and build a client's vision, what can I do to help you? What can I do to service you? So what we do is we work on the team's goals with the company, but also their personal goals as well, to to help them grow as well as grow with the business.
How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
Because that was a very mature answer. And I don't see a lot of business owners say it like that. Because it is like, I don't know, that just resonated with me a lot in terms of wanting to be able to go to work, and your employees are the ones that are actually keeping you in business. When you're scaling and scaling and scaling, at the end of the day, you're starting to shift your focus away into other areas, and they're doing the work. So if they get it wrong, it all kind of falls apart, right?
Yeah.
But I someone like, I'd say 30s.
No, I'm 26.
26.
30s.
Yeah.
It's respectful. It's you can see the passion that goes through him, and I think it always comes down to an element of care. There's a deep sense of care, and if you're working from that element of that deep sense of care, you'll make the magic happen, because
100%.
you'll be driven to educate yourself around these things, especially when you have a team. You want to make sure you're sort of accommodating for them as much as you can, where you can, knowing that they're going to take care of your clients.
Yeah,
I think it was Richard Branson that said, "My job is to take care of my staff, and my staff's job is to take care of the clients." Or something like that. That concept in itself is a perfect example to break down what a relationship in a business should look like.
Especially a lot of people in this, I think, in the younger generation are going into business from the dollar point of view, right? I've got, this area is making a lot of money, I'm going to go into it. But from what you're saying, you've set processes, you've set your vision and what you're doing, and you've got the team around you, but you've done that in a very short period of time. So how did you go about setting out the processes and, who you're going to hire, who you're going to work with, who you can trust when you're starting to kind of take a step back and focusing on, running the
100%.
business?
Yeah. So I guess when it comes to my hiring process, especially for a small business, right, you want to try and get the best bang for your buck when it comes to value of team members. So I've hired everyone in my team are hybrids. They will be able to cover multiple positions in the actual business itself.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I did, and I feel like it's helped a lot because team members are able to relieve other team members if their workload is quiet or anything like that, which is really, really cool. And then in terms of scaling as well, so I always use, because I worked at McDonald's for 5 years, and one thing that they do really, really well is their processes and procedures. They could open up on the corner tomorrow, and then they say out there that if they open up and someone steps into Macca's, they'll be able to learn the basic procedures within 3 hours and operate. So having procedures like that where you're able to scale really, really well, and then also trusting your staff as well. And not only just trusting your staff, but trusting the processes that you have put in place in order for the business to operate.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, bro. Go.
I know what I was going to say is one thing I do for my new employees is I get them to process map what their tasks are. So that way I want them to show me what I told them to do and tell it back to me in terms of a process map. And then also if they ever leave, it's set for the next person to hire. And I think it's very important, because if you expect your team member to be doing the right thing and doing the right process, but you don't know what steps they've done, it could easily fall apart if they've gone through like 6 clients, 7 clients, and all of a sudden you found out, they're missing that one little piece in that part.
Yeah.
Well, your staff only know what they know, right?
Yeah.
So, obviously they're going to bring some great value to the business, but they don't understand your process.
Yeah.
So it's important. We talked about implementing SOPs into the business to making sure that, step by step, they can actually understand or refer back to those SOPs. Okay, I'm at this point now. Where do I go next? We were running our business without any SOPs for a very long time, but it's just very sporadic on what gets achieved. And sometimes, slightly getting to that hurdle, but not ever sort of jumping it. But there was no system in place for them to understand. So building those SOPs, which we talked about off camera, is so important, because the staff have to know exactly what he needs for them to go out and put it into play.
It helps build staff alignment as well, making sure everyone's on the same page, same vision, same goals. And there's no, there's no blurred lines in terms of what to do and how to do it. So
It's clear, right? It's just
clear.
making it clear.
So let's dive into that, because I love having conversations like this with alignment and having the staff working on their goals and following SOPs and that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
What does it look like from the top down? What are we looking like in staff alignment? What are we looking like in terms of staff goals? And what does it look like in terms of? I would assume with any company that have how many
11.
11. Okay, so would there have been a revolving? Was there a period where there was a revolving door of some staff members to find the right ones that suit over the period? And what did the SOPs look like when they were put in place by yourself or by management? And then what if they weren't followed?
To be honest, the churning through staff members to, I guess, try and find the one that hits the standard of CCHQ is what kind of pushed us to make sure SOPs are in place, because as team members weren't, I guess, doing what they needed to do, I had to reflect and be like, okay, well, how can I help them do that? And then SOPs was one of the things. And the other thing was paying for their education as well, especially with the marketing team, because the industry is always evolving. So that's what I did there. But also when it comes to staff alignment, it means aligning the values of each staff member as well. So we have something called the 5 C's, which is care, collaboration, confidence, culture, and communication. So we always draw back to those things in the business.
You got it right. You never want to get it wrong when you.
No, of course not.
Sometimes you got your values and you're like, crap, what is it again? Because you never say it for so long.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. My staff would drill me because I drill them for it. But So we have the 5 C's as well. So outside of, I guess, data and analytics, we have the core values of the culture of the company too, to always fall back on to reflect how the team or how a team member should work.
So every decision should be made around that.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
If you get to a clunky part in the business, you should always reflect back to that and make sure that everything aligns with the staff,
Yeah. No, I agree.
I'm curious because right now you are in the middle of a fit out. And just by chance, we're actually neighbours in our new complex, right? So we just finished our fit out at the gym, and then in moves our neighbour.
Yeah.
I go over,
And this was before we invited you on the podcast, and then you moved next door.
So
after.
then we just worked out that you're actually coming on the podcast, and we're neighbours. You're in the thick of the fit out right now. So can you tell us a bit about what's happening in there?
Okay, so it was an empty shell. We're the first people to move into that. And that fit out's for the cave, right? The cave is a photo studio and event space. So it's a 430 square meter floor, and we have a 7x7 by 4.5 high cyclorama wall. We have 12 motorized backdrops to drop down whatever color people want to use. We have 39 backdrops altogether in that studio. It's also an event space as well. So there's a DJ booth upstairs for when people want to hold functions or events. Not even just function and events, but like let's say it's grand final day. You want to invite a group of boys and you just want a space to watch it. We can also organize the catering and stuff like that, just to take the thinking process out of it.
So even end of year parties, end of financial year parties, anything can be. Yeah,
100%. And I guess look, this is the vibe of it, right? So I went to Samoa in 2019. We went swimming in this cave, and it was very dark. It was very magical, and it was only just lit slightly by sunlight. So that's the theme of it. So everything is in there, even in the daytime, is pitch black, and there's LED ambient strip lights like everywhere. So that's the vibe of it.
Yeah, nice.
What's the fit out process been like? Obviously
From a shell.
I'll tell you why. I think the most time consuming thing is, and I just had to do it. I had to make the call on it. So what happened, we painted the floors and I wasn't happy with the floors. So we had to regrind it down, which is going through now. We had to regrind it down, repatch it up, and then grind it again to smooth it out, and then epoxy the floors.
Are you a perfectionist?
I am a perfectionist, but it's also the standards that we work in when it comes to Creative Culture HQ. That's not something that I would let slide.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was the issue with the floor, just out of curiosity?
The paint was already starting to crack, the finish, and then the boys before they didn't patch up the holes in it, so it just wasn't looking great. And like everything around it was looking awesome. I just didn't want that to bring everything else down.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's quite a task, I guess, to do these type of fit outs. I often poke my head and look next door just to see what's happening, because I just finished it, and there's that sense
memories
of like, it brings back those feelings.
Well, we haven't even talked about your
your
fit out, because you dealt with some of your own challenges in that regard.
I agree. I think it's very difficult when you've got this vision in your head, and then you're trying to bring that to life. For me, that it was 30 years in the making of me trying to create the space that I wanted to train in personally. So I'm trying to bring that to life, with some 2D drawings, and and then you've got the tradesmen on site, right? So they're there, they're ready to do the job, and they're able and willing and really excited by it. But then we have to come up with it together on the spot, right? So decisions have to be made really quickly. And you make mistakes, right? Like you make errors, and you see things that you're not happy with, and we did the exact same thing. That's why I asked, why'd you rip it up? The floor went down. We weren't happy with it. We regrinded it. We redid it again. Costly exercise.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you, because we did exactly the same thing. But if I was going to present this thing to my people, the same as these guys are going to do, this thing's going to be a photo shoot. This thing's going to be events. You don't want no one looking down on the floor saying, what's that?
Was it the same epoxy guy that you guys used?
It wasn't.
Yeah, at the end of the day, people are paying to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that they're getting their money's worth as well, even if it's just with getting the floor right.
Oh, well, look, I've already seen Ben's one. We had the opening of our Connect event last Friday, and everyone loved it. And mate, that light, those lights at the top, beautiful. That light work that you did. I literally didn't know until I saw the reel that it was you that did that, and just seeing that was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. I was pretty excited installing it, and it was quite a bit.
The boys, they want to make a statement. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They want to make a statement. It's what they're creating in there is really cool. It's probably one of a kind in terms of the size and the aspect of it and the vision for it.
Yeah.
It's similar to us, right? Like if we're going to do it, we're going to make an impact. We've got to do something that's outside the norm, or we're just like everybody else.
Yeah.
There's Google gyms in the area.
Yeah.
Google media companies in the area. There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
So what's the point of difference? And that's how we survive in the market, by creating a beast. So man, hats off to you, because you're here today, but the job's happening right now. So like that should be noted.
So thanks for taking that time off.
Of course,
as
man.
we know. And why MacArthur? because we know you're a Livo boy. You grew up in Green Valley.
Yep.
Me, myself, and Benny, we're from Bosley, so
Yeah.
up the road. But why MacArthur? What got you to go, this is the area that I want to grow my business in?
Because it was growing so much. And I think I was attracted to the growth and all the businesses that were in this area. So that's why I came. Our first office, so we worked remotely for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then our first office was a 9 square meter shoebox. Do you remember that one? Do you know that
It
one?
was literally a corridor. It was a corridor. I don't know how you all fit in there. That's the first time I saw this guy.
Yeah.
And they were so loud as well. I'm like, these guys need new space.
It was crazy. It was like a 9 square meter corridor, but the team was like, hey, we want a space to collaborate. We want a space to work. And collaboration is now one of our C's, right? So that's what it was. And once we got in there, it was just a really good community of business people and a very supportive environment as well in the area.
Yeah.
And I think that's what. So yeah, the business aspect and the amount of growth in this area is what drew us here. The community and the culture and the people here is what kept us here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's a great way of looking at it.
Now, a person your age with the determination and drive and the ambitious character about you and sort of the understanding of how to work a team and culture tells me that there was a lot of work that was done in the background on building and understanding that as a concept.
Yeah.
Have you done work in business development or business accelerator programs, or have you worked with any coaches along the way to sort of build who you are today?
I'm blessed with a network of business owners. I am blessed with a network of business owners. And if I ever run into a challenge that I want another person's perspective on, for different topics, I have different people for it, right? I also, straight out of school, I also did network marketing when I was 18 as well. And there were so many sales and business, workshops every single week. And we flew over to the States 2 years in a row to just go and learn off speakers. And I feel like in that 2 years is where I got so much growth when it came to this mindset.
Yeah, nice.
And that's where
What
I
speakers?
there was
It's over in the States?
Yeah, it's in the States. So
Yeah,
we saw
mad.
Tony Robbins was probably one of my most memorable ones.
Yeah.
So it was really good. It was just his ability to, I guess, bring out the fire in you and then bring out the potential in you that sometimes that you probably wouldn't even see. It was really powerful.
Yeah, when I saw him live, like for me, it wasn't really the business lessons. It was more of there was a fire, or it's like he was looking directly into your soul, and he made you want to be better.
Yeah.
It wasn't really
Seriously.
what he said in terms of providing any business knowledge so much to
Yeah.
speak. It was just some drive.
It was empowering.
Yeah, very empowering.
The rest falls into place.
Yeah, that's right. It just makes you want to go and do more. Go and look at your processes. Go and look at, how you're dealing with your business, why you're in business, what you want to do, and kind of focus on, your background and, why you did what you do in terms of taking a risk.
Yep.
And then making that continue to be worth it.
How big's the risk for you in like this particular venture?
So I had my name down for 2 properties and I sacrificed both those properties to start the cave. So that was a big risk. And and a lot of it has been a lot of my savings as well. That it was a very big financial risk for me. I also have obviously the responsibility of all the team members as well. So
salaries.
I couldn't be careless with it. I had to make sure it was calculated. I had to make sure it was right. I was willing to sacrifice that in order to get the cave running. Because the way I saw it, it was a bit bittersweet because I've always wanted property and I had 2 secured and I gave that up because my mindset was like, look, if I open up the cave, it's something I've always wanted to do, but potentially at the end of it, I could have 4 properties. So
Because at the end, if it's generating income and you've got multiple purposes for it, in a way, it can still be 2 properties.
Yeah, the way I looked at it, was business opportunities don't come around often, but houses and apartments will always be there. Yeah, it might go up in price. You got to take advantage of the business opportunities when they come.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you know what the differences are with the business? You're putting your eggs into this basket, sacrificing the properties, but you got to still hustle hard.
Yes.
To make
Yes.
to take it off the ground. You
'Cause
still got to hustle hard. If you're putting that money into property, you just let it sit.
Yeah.
That's a massive difference. A lot of people
And
don't
also,
take into
you're
consideration.
determined by market value, right? So market value is on property. Your own value leads to what that will generate in income.
Yeah.
The way you market it, the way you push it, the way you utilize that space can all determine the yield from that investment.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not an overnight
Right?
thing either.
Yeah.
Well, the business will buy the properties eventually.
Yes.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
You want to be in charge of your own destiny. Sometimes property doesn't achieve that. That's a long-term play too, right? But it's nice to have both and have assets and set up. We did the same. We literally sold our investment property. I sold the one house that I was going to give to my kids. That was we promised, that was our deal breaker. We bought this particular home and said we're going to hold and give it to my kids as a bit of a leg up, one that probably we all didn't get, let's be honest, right? Everything we built off the back of our own back.
Yep.
I really wanted to do that for my kids, and we actually sold that. That's why I asked, how big is the risk, right? What? Because if there's, if you're getting piggybacked or there's investors involved, and obviously, I don't know the structure, but sometimes it's easier when it's your own blood, sweat, and tears in there. You got no choice.
See, I have clients come to me all the time and say, I've got this property and I want to gift it to my child. But they also need to fund their retirement, or they also need it for themselves. And I always tell them this: if you're selling the property, don't think of it as you're giving up an asset to pass on to someone, or in your case, that you're giving up an asset with this other dream, because whatever you do with that is still up to you to decide, is it going to generate money? So that property, yes, you might sell it, and you might, for my clients, it's potentially putting it into their super, putting it into shares, and then investing that. That money is still going to generate potentially the same amount, or if not higher, from yield and from capital growth. So don't look at it as you're foregoing that, because at the end of the day, it's still going to work for you. In your case, it's putting it back into the business to potentially generate double the amount of income that was coming out of that property.
See how Ron went all financing?
Hey, I need a reel. I need a reel for this, all right? All my reels have been me laughing.
Went all finance.
Yeah.
Something is happening 6th of December that we should shout out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 6th of December, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. is our launch party for the cave. So, yeah, it's obviously it will be a really good moment, and because so much hard work has gone into it, as you would see, and you just finished a fit out. We're gonna launch the cave. We're gonna have a solid party that night as well. Food's provided. We have a burger truck. We have a pizza oven as well, wood fire oven. We've also
Get the details from Ben's one.
Yeah, I did. I walked past and I was like,
"Hey, they were good pizza."
Yeah,
they were good pizza.
Oh, it's the power of networking.
Yeah,
right? That happened.
that's exactly right.
yeah, we got Messina there for ice cream and dessert as well, and then we'll finish off the rest of the night with a party. We've also got a mocktail bartenders that will be there too, serving non-alcoholic drinks. So yeah, it will be really good.
Yeah,
All those fitness buffs and
that's it.
Yeah, nice.
Apparently, the whole of Shadowbox is coming now.
100%.
Yeah. And then your Christmas party is the next day.
Just keep on.
A big weekend for the guys.
Now, let's maybe talk about more of, the trends in digital marketing. There's a lot, like everyone's focused on social media, right?
Yep.
And there's always a new trend or something happening. Like business owners might feel like they need to dance in order to be in with what's happening in the crowd. Do you find that different industries have different trends, or does it all come back to really what you are about, or should you be keeping up with what the trends are at the moment?
Different industries have different trends because different industries have different target audiences. So you can't use the same trend for a different target audience, because that audience is most likely not going to, be attracted to it, right? The biggest things, if I was to give 2 pieces of advice for business owners who are trying to take on marketing for themselves, one is sell your brand, not the product. And then the other one would be optimize your content for the specific platform. Understand what works on TikTok won't necessarily work on Facebook or Instagram, and then optimize your content to make sure that it suits that actual platform itself.
So if I'm creating a piece of content, do I share it over
Multiple?
Yeah, so I make one video. Do I share from TikTok and then Instagram or whatever, or I segregate different?
I segregate, and I would even have different edits.
Yeah,
I would even have different edits. I would even have different edits for the same video. So, for instance, if I was to go and just have a video that talks about my journey, right? Just a quick snap, 30-second video, I would leave it at that. For the structure of that would just be me starting off as per normal for Instagram. And then for TikTok, I would start by a hook and I would have a grab at the start of it and then flow into the video itself as well. Captions are super, super important for videos because 80% of viewers actually watch videos silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Because if
captions
they're
are very
in the
important.
meeting, in the meeting on a tour. Yeah, because you've got people next to you and you're sitting there for half an hour scrolling.
They're on public transport. They don't want to
Yeah.
be too loud. So most of it. So captions are very, very important as well. Also, captions are important because not only are you listening to someone, if you do have your audio on, but you're also reading it as well. So it stimulates your senses.
And from a point of view of organic reach to paid for reach,
Yes.
is it worthwhile like paying for it? And who are the experts at knowing, how to get those right hooks and right, algorithms in terms of, because is it changing all the time?
Funnily enough, the people that decide if something's a good content piece is the audience. So I might have a good idea, you might have a good idea, but the only people who decide if that's a good idea are the people watching it.
It's a market.
It's a market, 100%. Is paid worth it? I agree. I think it definitely is. So the strategy I would go, you would always prefer to post less, but have paid advertising as opposed to having no paid advertising and just posting constantly. Yeah, because you'll reach a bigger audience and a bigger target. So
And then understanding like retargeting ads and all
Yes.
this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Like there's so
100%.
much to marketing.
It is.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming for the normal business owner that's already time poor, right?
Yeah.
Trying to play all these hats. Then they would, I've worked with a large agency in marketing, and then they promise the world, and then sometimes don't deliver.
Yeah.
And then it's deflating for the business owner too. We'd have lots that will follow us that have tried this avenue and really got no results.
Yep.
Why would they come to you guys? What sets
you apart?
Yeah, what sets you
Yeah.
apart? Like to come to creative culture.
completely fair. Okay, so as a collectively as a team, we have over 20 years of experience, and we've been able to put that into 3.5 years, and then also expand not only just around Sydney, interstate, but also global as well. So obviously, being able to scale that heavily in such a short amount of time shows that we can add value to a brand, help grow brands, and bring brands results as well. Not only that, our services and structures. So before we go and look at another brand or work with another brand, we've worked internally. We always have internal revisions of our brands and our processes itself as well. Like for instance, our marketing processes just got overlooked by someone who's actually now a head of marketing. But our head of marketing is also one of the head lecturers at ICMS, which is one of the most recognized marketing colleges in Sydney. People from different countries around the world actually come to this college to study marketing. So it's always things like that. We always work on internal growth so that we're able to obviously have skills ourselves to grow your brand. We run workshops. We have external people come in. But above all that as well, I think it all starts with service, because at the end of the day, sales is relationships, but also no matter if you're selling, doesn't matter if you have a service or if you have a product, it all comes down to who you trust with that money. So being able to do what you say, not over promising and under delivering. And I feel like that's something that we don't do, because I have a saying, right? It's called agency trauma. And it's literally when a company goes through multiple agencies and they have so much trauma, like someone would have at the end of a bad relationship, where they're just scared of agencies now. And
well, that's why I've spoken to many businesses that have gone down that path, used a bigger firm, not get the results, and then deflated, and then not know now where to go with them.
And potentially don't want to spend as much money anymore because they've been burnt by that, right? But they're being told that in order to get it right, you have to potentially pay a little bit more than what they were paying.
And not only that as well, there are multiple team members in in the company that have their own businesses and have grown their own businesses. So we know what it's like to put your own money in the line to actually grow your business. It's very easy if, I guess, you don't know the pressures or the financial pressures of starting a business or having a small business where, you can just throw it around, because you can't. You have to be so crucial with a client's spend. so you can try and maximize the results. But yeah, a lot of us have been in the position where we've only had X amount, or we put our own money on the line. We've taken our own risks to make sure we grow our brands.
Yeah, because I have actually met a couple of the guys in your team, and one's got a shoe shop, other one's like running their own podcast, and so everyone's got an idea of that, and that also comes back to them knowing how much risk you're taking, right? In new ventures, in setting up in this new, the cave, and then also. So they know that you're going to have to make a return back on that dollar as well. So it's just as important that they do their work.
100%. Yeah, Steve. So you've met Steve. Steve, he's the owner of Never Miss. So Never Miss, they sell like a hype beast shoes. So like essentials clothes. They sell like Yeezys, and they have shops in Westfields, Liverpool, Westfields, Miranda as well. So
get your Yeezys from there now?
Yeah, I did actually. I got these ones from there. And to be honest, through this process, because he's gone through fit outs and stuff as well, he knows exactly how I'm feeling. So being with him knowing that, he knows what he has to do in order to actually support me as well. So he's our content production manager. So he overlooks all the processes of the content that comes out of CCHQ, and all the internal revisions go through him.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
And what's been your best success story now that you've had 3.5 years, a client that you've really, kind of helped and you feel is, when I ask you this question, you can think of a client that really
Biggest win.
stands
That's
out.
your biggest win.
Oh, the biggest win. I think, so it was actually to do with Disney and Westfield. So Disney was coming to Australia for their 100th year anniversary. And I remember they only chose like one photographer in the state to create the content for them to advertise that they were coming to Australia. I shot the photos. It was photos only. And once I released the photos to them, they obviously Westfields had to approve it, but Disney themselves had to approve it as well. And the content they liked the content so much, they started using it nationally around Australia. And then New Zealand picked up the phone and called them, was like, hey, can you call the guy who created this to ask him if we can actually use it in New Zealand to also advertise that Disney's coming to New Zealand as well. So yeah, that was a pretty cool feeling. That was about 1.5 2 years into the business. So
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
That's sick.
And then what's your role now? Are you on the tools, Paul, or you?
I'm not on the tools as much. I'm not on the tools as much because, and my team understand this because even the team prefers me working on the business than in the business because they know that, they work hard on making sure that they get the job done so that I can also, bring in new clients, also grow the business, grow the culture. And keep bringing opportunities to the business. So, and I've always wanted to be like that, I guess, come off the tools a little bit so I can focus on processes, focus on educating people. Because we'll be running workshops soon as well out of the cave. So
I wanted to bring this up earlier when we were talking SOPs and procedures and that sort of a thing.
Yes.
When, let's say you put all this effort and energy into understanding how it needs to be scoped out and followed through by the team to bring incredible results in that particular area of the business. How often is it where team members don't follow the SOPs and you sort of have to crack the whip in a certain way? Or isn't that a bit...
It's happened before.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened
And
to me.
for those that don't know what SOPs are, because I just found out.
Standard operating procedures.
Yeah, because we've said it a lot, and I just want to make sure.
So it's instructions to carry out tasks within your business.
Yeah.
What's the question? How many times?
So, well, man,
Do they not listen to
I've
it?
put SOPs in place, and like a human being, path of least resistance, obviously by default sometimes, it's like, okay, I'll just get it done without following the processes, and then things get missed, and then it turns into something bigger, and it's like,
Do you find that-
if you just didn't follow, if you followed the SOPs, this wouldn't be an issue. And I know I'm not the only one out there. It's like
I think it's more so business owners that don't follow their own SOPs.
let's just focus on my question.
It's happened a few times, and each time when it comes down, or what it comes down to, and because our SOPs are very, very heavy in terms of structure and what you have to do. I think even when it comes to marketing, our checklist is over 20 items long of 20 different things that you need to do for a client before you even go and create their strategy. So the struggles that we've had when we have had struggles with SOPs is just laziness. That's all it is because it's so
How would you
dense.
address it? How would you address it with the team member?
I'll actually talk them through their thought process when it comes to it, and then correct their thought process if I found a gap in it. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. And then we'll also run workshops as well, and we'd always constantly just check in and have the team member report back to us before they go to any client.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And have you noticed, would it be a case of that team member just not doing it again, or would it be a couple more times where they'll drop the ball and you having to have a bit more conversations, and then it's like, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't just
It
working out.
wouldn't happen again, but the habit that happens, which is good, is that before they go and do something for maybe the next few times, they'll ask the question, hey, just making sure that this is the correct way, or this is the way that, it should be done. Can you see any gaps in this report that I'm doing? So I think it's helping them be more self-aware of what they're doing and putting the I guess their passion into their work.
I guess empowering them to take the responsibility and accountability of the end result.
100%, because we don't have a culture where we micromanage, so with that comes a lot of trust into the team member to make sure that they get the job done. So we're very flexible. Like, if you've got a family thing to go to in the middle of the day, go for it. Obviously, as long as you don't have any meetings or shoots to be at, go for it. Make up the hours later, whatever it is. So.
And micromanaging as well is a buzzword. We hear it a lot, and some people think micromanaging is this, and some people think micromanaging is that. What does micromanaging mean to you? And when you say you don't have micromanaging in the business, what does micromanaging mean?
Micromanaging typically starts when you have to put someone through a performance review, and you have to performance manage someone. So it's having them, I guess, talk you through every step, but also overlooking every single thing that they do, so that to get to a point like that, you typically you're underperforming severely.
Well, I guess at the start you'd have to onboard them, and you'd have to manage it. You'd have to sort of, I don't know if this is the right word to use, but you'd have to sort of micromanage them at the start to make sure that they're following suit and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then letting them do their thing. At what point do you think would be appropriate to sort of start stepping away and saying, you know what, you do you now? I feel like I've sort of put in what I needed to put in for
I
now.
think
without micromanaging, because no one wants to micromanage.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes by default you want to make sure the person is comfortable and confident in their position.
I don't think that's micromanaging, and I think that's just managing.
Yeah, I think at the start, I think at the start, what we do, we don't micromanage as such. What we do, we educate the team members, teach them the processes, but we have them check in with us. When it comes to micromanage, we have to constantly check in with them.
Okay.
And it takes a lot more effort and energy away from what we're doing as well. So I feel like that's the difference.
You said something before, like the perspective of micromanaging is different within the community, right? Because some would believe that the first part of what you said was actually micromanagement. That's just us actually educating and trying to upskill.
You would call that training.
Yeah,
you would call that
just
training.
managing.
Yeah.
Should have said
Not
that
actually
word.
micromanaging happens when there's a break in trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? When
I like that.
That's good.
But also at the same time, there's people that are just micromanagers because that's how they are.
That's what
But
they
that's not the way to be running a business, because then you're overseeing everything. And the whole point of being a business owner or wanting to step back and focus more on scaling the business gets lost because you're still involved in every process. And I think
It's exhausting.
For me, micromanaging means that I'm spending too much time with that person, and it's that person that's the issue.
You said something before that was really powerful. It's like just allowing our employees to be flexible, right? They have some great gifts and some great attributes that they should be bringing forward to the table. Let them fly.
Yeah.
Let them fly and take ownership in that.
My thing is, I just don't want to make a mistake to the client where we have to tell a client that we've made a mistake.
Yeah.
We can make all the mistakes in the background, and if it continues to be an issue, then we'll sort it out. But I always try to give it to a senior team member to train that person and give them the responsibility that if they're doing it wrong, it needs to come back to you. What is the training, or where is
There's a break somewhere there.
that's right. If I'm getting involved and I have to address the issue, then there's a problem. If there's no issue, if you're sorting it out, then I don't need to be involved in that process. If a client comes to me and says, there's a problem, the direct debit didn't come out, or something went wrong, then I have to get involved. There's something that's broken down in the process, and we need to go back to our processes, go back to the person, and then you look at it. I think if you focus on it too much and micromanage it at the start, they're not going to gain the confidence to get that flexibility to do their thing.
Yeah.
As long you set the KPIs, you set the targets, you make it happen.
Yeah, 100%.
If something goes wrong, let's address it now.
And something that we have in our company as well is that people do internal revisions with at least one other team member with their work. So then it gives one team member to have the opportunity to get feedback, and it gives the other team member the opportunity to actually teach or to give their opinion on something as well, which helps other team members value each other.
100%, man. That's beautiful. I really like that.
Do you do often team huddles or
We do every Wednesday.
What does that look like?
We go through. The appraisals. So we talk about the week prior, and then we congratulate any other team members for any milestones or anything like that. Then we go through concerns, and then we go through the agenda for the week ahead.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's a 3 steps it's broken down into.
And what do the goal settings look like? What do the goal settings look like for the team members? Is it you that comes up with some sort of a goal for the next 5 years, 4 years, and then we break it down into each one of the team members or different departments, and then let them do their goals, or how does that?
Yeah, so when it comes to our team members, it's typically one of the management team. If not myself, then it'll be probably my general manager that will do the goal setting. It's typically with 3 years, 1 year, 3 years and 1 year with their team members when it comes to the business, but also their personal goals as well.
Yeah.
So
nice.
that's how we'll do it. And then we check in every month just to see how we're tracking with things. If there's any new goals that they want to add, and then go from there as well.
I'm smiling because it's a lot, right? Like, not saying, I mean, hats off to you, man.
Yeah,
You're
man.
wise above your years, 100%. And it's really cool. That's why we're picking your brain, because it's awesome, man. You know, you've really developed into a great leader, obviously, and got some great leadership skills. So, you know, hats off to you. But it's a lot for a business owner, right? We have a lot of business owners that follow us, and often I'll get messages after our podcast about different things and different questions. And, you know, all he started was just taking photos.
Yeah.
Now we're asking about, you know, these SOPs and how to become a leader. Like, you know, it's overwhelming, right? How many hats does a business owner have to play in order to scale to the level that he wants to get to?
Yeah.
And he's just hit the iceberg. Like, they got big plans and big goals and big future ahead
Well, you
of
got
them,
big
right?
expenses to cover all these things.
And big risk, right? Like, so we have to be better. And we have to constantly keep self-developing and make sure that our people are driven on the same vision and values and mission.
Yeah. Right? You always got to feel like it can fall apart at any stage.
State of paranoia.
I think
100%.
because if you keep going like that, it
Do you live like that?
keeps you hungry.
Do you actually live like that?
What,
Like
state of paranoia?
within the business, obviously.
To a certain degree, it's a spectrum. So I wouldn't let myself be, me personally, I wouldn't let myself be comfortable, because the reality is anything can change tomorrow, man. I can walk out of that door and get sideswiped by a car. I might be broken legs for the next couple of months, man. How's my business going to perform without me? The reality, anything can change. My main guy can leave tomorrow. My I don't know, my clients can, I don't know, come up with some sort of who knows how things might turn around. So it's not state of paranoia from a negative perspective. It's state of paranoia in a sense of, okay, you got to
on your toes.
You have to have the mindset in the sense of thinking 2 or 3 steps forward. And if anything was to happen, the state of mind has to kick into, okay, let's approach it in a way where this is going to act as some sort of an opportunity for us, or reframe it for yourself so it doesn't.
Because at any stage, referrals can stop. You can get injured, and then your overheads never stop.
Well, man,
right?
do you know what I think? Looking back, because a couple of people asked me about paranoia, what I think sort of created that state of paranoia, and every time I say it from not from a negative side. It's the cash side of it. Like, we've all been in situations, every business owner has been in a situation where their cash was absolute shit house.
And you thought next week wouldn't happen.
Man, emotionally, you're going to connect with that. And it's going to throw you off your game, whether you're having conversations with your missus.
He's in the middle of the fit out. He's probably there now, bro. I reckon.
I've gone silent.
It's like, but when that happens, you start to get paranoid. You start thinking, man, we're going to, oh my God, your head starts going anywhere. So you work harder, you hustle harder, and then you start to see the fruits of your labor after hustling harder, which you couldn't have tapped into if you weren't in a state of paranoia. And I say that only from positive, like not from a negative way.
No.
There's a place of discomfort. There.
If you're a business owner, everyone knows what you're talking about, because we've all been there. And to look back at it, at the time, you thought you wouldn't survive. You thought you wouldn't be around the next week or the 2 weeks. But you look back at it and you needed that. And you got to kind of have that little bit of feeling all the time, because it leads you into going into new ventures, or leads you to push for that next big client, or do something different in your business to continue scaling.
And where a lot of our SOPs were built off the back of me being cornered in a position where I had to come up with a solution to put some structure in place.
I got challenged at one of the conferences that I went to. It was like a 3-day development program, and the guy that was running the speaking said, if you walk, like if you everyone get up, you walk away from your business right now, switch off your phone. Could you go on holidays for 6 months right now? Like pack up, go, not say anything to anyone, or maybe just let your manager know, hey, I'm going for 6 months right now. And you felt the energy in the room. Everyone was like, whoa, like there's no way I could do that right now, you know, because you don't have the system in place, right? So it got me thinking, wow, like imagine that happened, right? If something happened to me, I got hurt or injured or whatever, can my staff sustain the business, you know?
Because that's where we ultimately want to be, right? Like for me, I don't have kids, you have kids, but you want to spend more time with them. You want to go on bigger holidays. So you want to eventually get to the point where you can go on a 6-week Europe holiday. Right now, for me, 2 weeks is probably the max I can go on holidays because I had a business partner. Now we've split the business, and now I'm back to finding someone that's going to be there when I'm not there. You know, it's not easy when you're the one that's kind of in control of everything. You need to slowly, and I think the way you're doing it is great. Having hybrids, having people that you can trust that are going to step into the business when you want to take time off or go away. But you got to do those, and it seems like you're doing all the hard yards very early on and getting to that stage very quickly.
100%. I'm very blessed to have a really good management team for sure.
Man, massive.
That's
and
good.
it's taken a very long time to find a good management team.
Yeah.
And even just finding.
Did you reach, like, do you know the guys, like, personally, or was it something, you know, did you sort of advertise for it and for that particular role type thing, you know?
Everyone, most of the people that have come into the business, I actually know them. I know of them at least. I've met them somewhere or, and typically the thing that they all have in common is that their energy is really, really good.
I've met some of the boys. They're really cool.
Yeah, when they walk into the room, they don't drain your energy. They're not the type of people that drain your energy when you speak to them, have a conversation with them. So, I think that's what stuck with me.
Nice. Now, for the purposes of time, we're probably getting to that hour. Anyone want to ask any other?
No, man, we could talk for hours, man.
Yeah, 100% we could.
I'm sure maybe, you know, after you finish everything and you get to the business to a certain point, especially the cave, I'm really interested in that. You know, maybe, you know, we get back on and we talk about that, like where you've taken it. Yeah. Have you pivoted? Is it what you thought it was going to be? Like things like that. So there's lots of conversations, man. But hats off to you. You're very wise above your years, man. It's actually refreshing to talk to someone, you know, that's of that mindset. So well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Boys, I wanted to try something different today.
Yeah.
I hit you up. I said, leave the end of the segment to me. Now, I've been seeing these ads all over my social media about these breathe easy nose and it opens up. And I wanted to try it all because I know none of you have tried it.
No.
So I thought I'd bring some in so we can all try it, right? I don't know how this is going to go, but let's see if these actually work. I haven't actually
What are they
tested it
called?
myself.
You haven't tried it either.
No, I haven't tried it. So I
What are they called, Ron?
Well, I don't want to.
People that are listening
Oh, you'll see the brand anyway.
No, but people are listening.
Oh,
online.
well, what are they? They're breathing, train hard. So they're nasal performance strips, right? So they're to help you with sleeping and also to help you train. So it opens up your passive. And I know me, as you can, the viewers and listeners, I'm very nasally. So let's see if my voice changes when we do it.
I can never tell.
We'll chuckle.
Rhino.
So I
Put it
think,
on, is there a
yeah.
specific
So you split it open.
Yeah.
I was watching the video before I came on.
So whereabouts on your nose, though?
So on your nose.
Whereabouts?
So just on like the middle, the bridge of the nose.
The middle.
Yeah. And then you put it down and you hold it for 10 seconds.
On one side.
So at like squeeze it, yeah.
Do you take both off and then you?
Yeah. And then just put it on it.
That's going to be great
calm
for the
down.
viewers.
Oh, one opened up.
So you got to hold it down for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yours
And
is
then
on wonky.
Yeah, I think I did put it on wonky.
Way too excited for this.
Yeah,
Put it odd for you.
All right.
Ben, do you need two? Do you need two for your nose?
Probably. Do they make it for Italians?
Yeah, actually it works.
Yeah.
Is it? Does it?
Yeah.
It's not a placebo. I don't know if mine's working properly.
Mine just popped open straight away.
Really?
This one, yeah.
Nah, mine's not
Yeah.
sticking on properly. Yours,
You?
bro, these aren't sticking on properly. I should get electrical
Your
tape. out.
oily Arabic
Yeah,
skin.
I think it's, yeah. You look like you got hummus on your face.
Nah,
Can you? You've
Bro,
got it
mine's
like
sticking-
diagonal. Yeah.
Do you want to give them a bit of feedback?
Yeah, maybe I think it's the oily. You got to wash your face first. So I was going to do that. Yeah.
I can,
I can
see
feel it,
That's
yeah.
mad. I can see what.
But okay, so we got a 50% hit rate.
One, I think it helps if you
I just
put it
wanted
on
to say
straight.
because I think it's bullshit, right? They come up on the ads and you see if it works, but That
No,
actually
I
works
can
for me.
feel that it opens it up. I think
Yeah.
you got to put it on straight. So we've made a
Yeah.
mistake here. With,
Yeah, your one's half in your nose.
yeah.
I ruined mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to get some makeup wipes first
yeah.
before it comes on. Now,
Serena down.
yeah.
Like yours is legit not sticking.
My nose isn't an Arab nose though. It's a decent nose.
It's a decent nose.
All right. Well,
Okay.
All right, given that this was a fail, let's go on to our next segment.
So if it does come up on your social media, 50% of you might work for.
Maybe
if
check the
you've got an
reviews.
oily face, it might not work. Wash your face first. All right, Paulie, mate, do you want to plug anything? You know, let us know where if anyone is thinking about reaching out to you to work with you, where can they hit you up on?
Okay, so yeah, if you guys need your marketing or your content done, Creative Culture HQ, you can shoot us a DM on socials, email us or email me at paul@creativeculturehq.com. And the cave will be opening up now in a couple of weeks. So yeah, that won't be too long. Unit 442 Turner Road. It's your next event space. It's your next photo shoot space. Everything is included in the hire. So it's not like you hire the space and then you want a light. You have to pay another $40 for every single light that you do. You want a different backdrop color. 39 different backdrop colors are included, which is a lot more than some of the studios that I've shot at in the past.
Pretty sick. And 6th of December is the opening date.
Yeah, 6th of December, launch party. Yeah, see you guys
Be
there.
there.
Hey, we still got to wrap it up. One last question. 3 people. You have 3 people. We end every podcast with this question.
Yep.
All right. You have 3 people that you can invite to dinner. And it could be anyone from your current life or anyone from the past in the history of humanity. Who would those 3 people be and why?
Oh, okay. That's okay. I would go 3 boys. I'll go 3 boys. So, and they're all my boys, and I'm very grateful to have these guys in my circle. One's MJ, owner of Enhanced Supplements. The other one is Reggie, owner of Enhanced Supplements Fairfield, and then the other one is one of my boys, Zodzi. So he owns RB Hub, which is a car detailing company. So
Did you mean it from a different aspect?
Well, I meant
Or just
3 like any.
Well,
Tony, you
bring-
can have Tony
three
Robbins.
mates.
You can have.
Yeah.
I think you had
You would choose.
Caesar.
I would still go with those boys
Yeah.
because man, they've been through. They've understood my journey and they've been through with me through a lot. And they're very raw. And you know what it is as well is that I'm able to be very vulnerable with them too.
Yeah.
You know what? It's even though it's with the boys, man. If I shed a tear, I shed a tear. I feel comfortable doing so, and I've done it in the past before, and that's exactly why I would do that. Like I want to share the people that I can cry in front of. That's who I would sit with. At the table.
That's a good answer. Like we haven't had that answer before.
Yeah.
But I respect it.
yeah,
That's
who
good.
I would,
It's different.
yeah.
Man, Paul, thank you so much for coming on, man.
you.
Thank you for
Thanks
the
for having
conversation.
me.
You wanna-
Thank you for the value.
Let our viewers know. We're 1, 2, 3, connect.
If you want.
How do we introduce it? Everyone that's done it before, do we just tell them to say connect?
You got to look down the barrel
Yeah.
and say, let's connect.
Paul, if you can look down.
Yep.
I'll count you in. 3, 2, 1.
Point at the camera.
Let's connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
guys.
Paulie.
Thanks.
Thanks,
for
guys,
having
for
me.
listening.
Appreciate that.
See you
Thank you,
later.
Paul. See ya.
We made this a free platform because we want to educate and add value to your business world. All we ask for as a payment is to hit the subscribe button and share it with people that you know would benefit from this conversation. If you want to elevate your connections, we'll see you at the next Connect MacArthur event.